Hey, welcome back into VuGolf. Dustin Ashby, joined by Ray Leach, a big part of the team that launched a new product called SwingTIP, and this is where the world of high tech again met the world of golf, and golfers are going to be better for it. And Ray, I want to ask you about a simple concept that you, as a teacher of the game, I'm sure have seen multiple times, where as a student, what we think we're doing isn't always what we're doing, and more often than not, it's exactly the opposite of what we're doing. But that's hard to communicate to a student at times.
Well, it's not, yeah, it's very hard to communicate because, once again, what we think we're doing may feel right, but once again, if we get back to what's real and what's true, the only real true thing in the golf swing would be the flighting of the ball. So while we think we had a square club face at impact, and we could certainly tell our coach that I did exactly what you wanted me to do, and the ball's still slicing to the right, that would be just a case in point once again for everybody out there, including the pros, that if the ball's fading to the right, the truth is that club face is still open at the impact. But that's, I think, a great lesson as to what's real, what isn't, and even though golf is quote-unquote a game of feel, when it comes to analyzing the flighting of the ball, analyzing what my mechanics are, the truth is actually in understanding ball flight characteristics, which, without getting off on another tangent, I really believe that Golf 101, even today, Golf 101, as the day we start to play the game, there's still a little bit of a void of that first day should actually be a lesson in understanding the flighting of a golf ball.
That's a great point. Having that student literally, and I get asked the question, "What's your ball flight?" By a teacher, and from that, you guys can learn so much about the angle of my club face, open or closed, or even the path of the club, and sure. Talk to us about that as far as what drives the spin on the golf ball. Is it the angle of the club face, the path of the club head through impact? Talk to us about that.
Well, if you took, say, two impact imperatives that are pretty much, if you get them right, you're kind of on your way, but probably the three most important things in golf at the moment of impact to determine outcome, and this would simply be the number one objective, as simple as it may sound, but when the student or the player, or even those guys that are playing over at Torrey Pines today, at the moment of impact, if they can get their golf club face traveling in the direction of the target, we call that path, that would mean the club would start at the target line. And number two, if they could get that club face relatively square to the target line at the moment of impact, rather than a little open or a little closed, well, that would mean we'd have a golf ball that has no dispersion. So if, as a player, if we didn't even get into any more depth than to the objective of, I'm going to make a golf swing, I'm not really concerned about the style of my swing or what it looks like, but somehow, some way, I know at the moment of impact that if I can get the club face traveling down the target line, which would be my swing path, and I have a club face that is relatively square to the target line at the moment of impact, you've got a ball that starts on the target line that has no curve. So there's a formula of two impact imperatives that start the ball on line and the ball goes straight. The only other one as far as feedback would simply be, where am I bottoming out? We would definitely want to throw into the equation of, do we have an ascending or a descending blow? And then last but not least, we need speed. So if you really took, I swing the club down the line, my club is relatively square to the target line, and I'm able to create speed, you've got a ball that starts straight, stays straight, and has distance. So
at the end of the day, when you compare the players that are playing again on Saturday and Sunday on the PGA Tour and competing for titles against the players that are on the web.com, or even the elite college player or the elite amateur player who competes for a U.S. Amateur Championship,
yes.
When you start to look at the differences between those levels of players and then the decent amateur, the quality of the miss is so vital, for players of all levels. But the really good ones, the great ones, understand how to control their misses. And technology like SwingTIP, and by learning the process of impact and what it means to make quality impact with the golf ball, you're going to begin to minimize that whole dispersion pattern.
Well, for sure. If we all decide or opt in that if we can improve our impact imperatives, let's just call it swing path, club face attitude, centeredness of hit, the dispersion is going to be tighter. So you could say the game plan to get better. And that's really what we all want to do, whether we just want to enjoy the game more or we want to be more competitive. You could say the objective is, I want to be better. And better in every single case. And this is what I share with my students every single day. I tell my students, I say the fact that you've decided to opt in for the sport of golf, let's have an understanding on day one that you've opted in for a sport of imperfect. And what that, seriously. And so what
it's true.
Yes, so what that means is, if they throw it back in my lap and they go, well, what about the guys on tour? Well, I'd say all you have to really do is look up the statistics on the PGA Tour, and you have guys right now that are making it, and making it very nicely. And if you look at fairways hit in regulation, greens hit in regulation, it's probably hovering around 60%. Well, then how do those guys average 68, 69 for 120, 130 rounds in a year? Well, number one, they average 9-1 putts a round. They average getting the ball up and down 80% of the time from 30 yards. So what it really puts into the game plan, once again, that would complement impact is the amount of time we spend on our short game as well. So it just, once again, it truly puts in perspective what we have to do to become better, which isn't as overwhelming as, say, the golf swing could be 50 positions and we have to hit every single position. So I kind of like the combination of, somebody tells me it's a game of imperfect. Well, that's nice to know. And then somebody tells me, well, geez, all you got to do is have better hits. And it's even a great way to analyze truly what I believe the only difference between a PGA Touring pro, the club champ at the club, and the members that I'm teaching at the Learning Center are their misses. That's the only difference between the three levels of play. And no matter what the level is, the guy that's making a living, the guy that wants to win the club championship, or one of my members that wants to be a single digit, is we simply have to improve those misses, but it still needs a plan, and I can't think of a better one and a more economical one that would start with those impact imperatives, and it would be complement with the visuals of the metrics and visualization of my golf swing right there with SwingTIP.
And you can get, again, Ray's lessons, his instructions, his tips as part of the SwingTIP package. Again, swingtip.com. Ray, thanks so much, man.
Thank you so much, and appreciate sharing it with listeners.